Great day. Good morning, everyone. Jerisha Hawk here, and welcome to the Hawk Hustle Morning Show. I'm excited to be chatting with you today. So if you are new here, hello, welcome to Hawk Hustle headquarters. I am your host, Jerisha Hawk. I'm a high-ticket sales coach, digital business consultant, and I help individuals like you take the skills that you already have and repackage them into a high-ticket service that you can sell consistently. And today, and if you're an OG, you've been here, you've been around the block, and you're here again to join us, welcome back. I appreciate you guys. But today I want us to talk about how to handle difficult clients. This is something I was sharing in my Instagram stories yesterday, just kind of talking about what a good client looks like. And I was just sharing the quote that we need to be the clients that we ultimately want to attract and ultimately want to work with. You know, when you're hiring a coach or joining a group coaching program or investing in a course or whatever, it's like, how are you showing up as the client, as the student? And how does that in return, like, reciprocate who it is that you receive when you enroll clients or you start working with your own students within your business? And I wanted to do some Q&A around this and actually help you work through any specific challenges that you've been having with your clients, and trying to navigating the difficulty of it, okay? So if you guys I see you guys hopping on. Hey, Anita. Hi, Janae. Oh, I haven't moved into my new place yet. This is like a temporary location. But yeah, the moving process is coming along. Hey, Dave. I see Detroit Rob is on. Ashley's on. Tiffany's on. Who else is on? Kanice is on. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. Hey. Anita is on. But as you guys are watching this, or like I said, catching this in the replay, pop in the comments and let me know, where have you struggled with a client? Like, where have you had difficulty with your coaching clients? And kind of, what are some of the pain points that you've experienced? So I want us to talk through how to handle difficult coaching clients. Because I think a lot of the time we talk about how do we get clients? How do we make the money? How do we convert them in? Which is an important aspect. Like, you do need to know how to sell. Because if you don't know how to sell, you'll have a very difficult time actually making money and growing your business. But getting the client is step one, right? After you've got the client, step one, you have to be able to, how do I help this client get results based off the promise that I was delivering, the promise that I was, the guarantee of my service. And also, how do I manage this client? Because now this is a potential referral source. And like your ability to be able to handle coaching clients and handle them in a professional manner is going to dictate the future and the longevity of your business. So this is just something I want us to make sure that we also talk about, just as much as we talk about selling, which is important. But part of you being able to sell effectively is how you package your offer, but also how you package your expectations. And I don't mean just expectations of what your client can expect of you, and what your client should be expecting to bring to the table, because it's a two-way partnership. So I think that's the very first thing with handling difficult clients. As you guys are typing in where you struggle with clients, just put that in the comments and we'll kind of go back through those things and talk about them individually. But the first thing with handling difficult clients starts with you. It's all about how you set the tone as a coach or as the consultant, or as a freelancer, or whatever service provider that you are. But you set the initial tone. So if you start your coaching relationship haphazard, no contract, no communicated expectations or boundaries, there's no, when I say communicated expectations and boundaries, there should be clear expectations or when payments are due and when what happens. And it's not just a matter of when things are due, but what are the repercussions if they don't do it? That's an expectation that you need to set as the service provider. When are the payments due? What happens if payments aren't collected on time? What is are they able to get a refund? Like, what happens if they request a refund? What can they expect will happen if they do try to get a refund or try to back out or try to not submit payment? What happens if they don't do the work? Right? What are their expectations of you? Are you the Lord Savior coming in to, you're not Jesus. You can't just come in and solve all the problems. Like, you have to set those expectations of what they can expect your relationship to look like. So one of the reasons why we have difficult clients, a lot of the time we have not clearly communicated boundaries and expectations of what they should anticipate when we go into the working relationship. And this is something that if you're inside of services that sell, this is one of the bonuses that we provide all of our students is a new client onboarding kit, mainly because when you're onboarding a new client, this is the prime time to make sure that you cross your T's, dotted your I's in regards to these are what you can expect. This is how we're going to communicate together. This is how I expect you to communicate with me. This is how I expect to receive payment, and this is what you're going to get in exchange for you submitting payment, me helping you get this result. This is how, you know, from a mindset perspective, what are the mindset expectations that your client needs to have in order for them to be successful working with you? What should they expect to receive and that you're going to deliver? Like, it is a two-way commitment. So those are things that you should be clearly communicating in your onboarding process to make sure that, you know, you flushed out and crossed the T's, dotted the I's for all of those things. But I think the other thing is too, is how are you pre-framing the client relationship before they sign on as a client, right? I think sometimes we enroll non-ideal clients because we have not done a good job qualifying our leads ahead of time. And this is something that I think is so very important and a huge aspect of what we teach inside of what I teach my students is how do you qualify your leads? Many coaches talk about who is your ideal client. You need to know who your ideal client is, which is very important. You need to know who you want, but you need to also have crystal clarity around who is your non-ideal client. Who would you never want to work with no matter how much money they were trying to pay you? Like, and you need to have just as much clarity about qualifying your leads before they become a paid client. And like before you even start onboarding, the qualification and the filtering through the type of client you want to work with and what that relationship, like those expectations need to be communicated before you even start the onboarding process, before you even get on a sales call. You should have already qualified this lead to some level of degree to make sure that they're even like they pass ground zero, right? So those are some things that I think are important for you to do. Like in the very, very, very beginning, so you can start to offset difficult clients, is making sure that you're qualifying your leads before you even get on a sales call. So you need to have very much a lot of clarity around who you do not want to work with. And it should not be this vague thing. Like I know some of my clients are like, Jay, I only want to work with women. So if you're a man, I don't want to work with you. That's how they're qualifying a lead. Guys, that is not lead qualification. If you're just qualifying a lead based off of their gender or based off of whether or not they're a millennial or whether they're not they're a Gen X or a boomer, those are not what I mean by qualifying your lead. Like, you know, for specifically, I'll use myself as an example and then we'll start going into your guys' specific client situations, is like, you know, services that sell is my core offer. We teach students who currently want to sell services or intend to sell services how to introduce a high ticket offer to their service suite, right? We teach clients how to use organic methods. That's a key thing. Non-paid ways to get high ticket clients. So if somebody comes to me saying, Jay, I sell shea butter, I don't work with you if you're a product-based business. Why? Because that's a non-ideal client for the type of demographic that I serve. It's not based off of if you're a man or if you're a woman or if you're young or if you're mature in age. It's based off of you need to get very, very clear about what result that you deliver to make sure that you're only attracting clients that you have confidence that you can get that result for. So sometimes we will, depending on where you're at in your business, sometimes we take on clients that like, we know, like, I mean, if you're constantly saying, well, I can help them, well, I could help them, well, I could help them, and you're trying to help everybody and their mama out here, that's not the ideal situation that you want to be in. You want to be very, very clear about who you do not want to help and it's not that you don't want to help them, but it's like, who are you best equipped to be able to support with getting results? And you need to be clear on what the promise of your offer is so you know who this is specifically for and who this is not for. So if you're a product-based business, well, I'm going to tell you that I'm not the best coach to support you. Even though I can do it, even though I have had a product-based business, I'm familiar with the business structure. That's not my zone of expertise. That's not my lane of genius. Like, that's not where I have a proven process created for you to get a result. So that's somebody who's a non-ideal client, and that will help me avoid having difficult clients, because difficult clients, you know, typically show up when we start to enroll clients that are not an ideal fit for the result that we're helping our clients achieve. And when I say, when we talk about, you really think about who is your proven process designed for and who is your proven process not designed for. Your path cannot be designed for everybody, right? And this is why having a signature service and developing your framework and unpacking your intellectual property, creating your own methodology is so important, okay? So let me go back through your guys' comments and talk through how to handle difficult clients based off the clients that you've had. Janae said collecting payments on time. Anybody else have any struggles with collecting payments on time from clients where they either don't pay? I don't know where you guys are at, but let me know, does anybody else struggle with getting payments collected on time from clients? This is definitely something that I struggled with a lot more in the beginning of my business, and I struggle with now, mainly because we have some boundaries and parameters put in place, and we have systems that support us with being able to make sure that we collect payment. So first thing with collecting payments on time is depending on how you're selling your service, the way I teach my students how to sell their services and the way we sell most of, like all of our high ticket services, is that we collect payment over the phone. That's a huge shift. I know a lot of my clients struggle with that initially because they're used to sending invoices. So sometimes when you're sending an invoice, you are not, and depending on what service you deliver, but for a lot of you guys, I believe you are in a space where you can collect payment over the phone. Just like if you were to call a luxury spa, if you want to book a spa service at, I know some of the fancy spas here in Michigan, you have to collect payment over the phone. You give them your credit card information over the phone. They may not run your card right away, but they will, or they might run your card and hold the money, or they might run the card the day of, but they process, you make sure your credit card information, that they have that information from the very, very beginning of your relationship. So that's one thing to help avoid having clients that don't make payments on time, is collecting payment over the phone and getting their credit card information without sending an invoice. I think a lot of us, and I think it's traditional in a lot of service-based businesses where we send these invoices out to the client and we wait for them to pay us. And I think depending on what service you provide, that method of payment collection is okay. But I think that for that first payment, it's important for you to kind of control that sales process and control that sales container, and make sure that you actually have their payment information on file. So if they forget, just so you have that on file. So that's one thing, is actually collect payment over the phone. If you are doing payment plans for your clients, meaning maybe you have a $4,000 service and they're doing 4 payments of $1,000 or something like that, you need to set them up with auto bill pay. We are all busy business owners. We are all, we have a lot of things we're juggling on our plate. And a lot of the time I like to assume positive intent. So if you're sending invoices to a client every single month, think about it from the client's perspective. This is another bill they need to pay. Right? It's just the reality of the situation. So how can you make things more convenient and streamline things and really think about it from the client's perspective? Set them up on auto bill, where the payment is auto pulled from their account on the same day of every month. So nobody has to send an invoice. You don't need to remember to send an invoice, because I know you might be busy and you might be forgetting to invoice people on time. And then you don't have to worry about having a payment collected, them paying the invoice every single month. So that's something that we teach all of our students to do. I'm a huge fan of Stripe specifically, more so than PayPal. And if y'all are collecting payment on Venmo or Cash App, we need to cut that out altogether, because that is not a business mode of payment collection. Or if you're only sending invoices, but I'm a really big fan of Stripe. And if somebody's on a payment plan, that first payment we collect over the phone, and we communicate that over the phone, communicate the guidelines, communicate, okay, this is when you can expect to receive a payment again next month at the same date, same time. Frame it where it's a benefit to them. This is a convenience for you. We want to make sure that I'm able to support you completely, that you're able to show up and do your work completely and just be focused on the thing that matters, which is doing the work. We're going to take care of the payment processing, super simple, with our automated system, so you don't have to worry about a thing. So there's no hiccups or pause in the delivery of what I'm here to do for you, to make sure it's seamless for us to help you get results. right? You want to frame it as it's a benefit for them. And then you set up auto bill pay, like through Stripe is automatic payment withdrawal. So then there is no hiccups. But then also communicate to them what happens if they need to change their credit card information, or like I said, in your client contract, communicate what happens if you don't submit payment, you know? And I know even in my programs that where we don't have our clients sign contracts, we have them agree to our terms and conditions, because it's just as important. Like when you enroll and when a client hires you, it's a two-way commitment. They are paying, their money is a form of exchange to receive a result that you're helping them achieve, right? So even though my program services that sell, we don't have our clients sign contracts because it's a digital coaching program. And, you know, but they do have to agree to the terms and conditions. So like you need to have a contract in place that communicates what happens around all things payment wise. So it's very, very clear what they can expect, what they cannot expect, what happens when, like, you're kind of already anticipating all the things that could go wrong, and make sure they agree to those understandings. So, but if you're signing high-end clients, you need to have a client contract, and they need to be signing that contract and reviewing that contract. And we want to make it simple for them to be able to do that. So, but that's how I would handle difficult clients who don't pay. Janae, I hope that was helpful, or anybody else that was struggling with payment collection. Ashley said mindset. She asked for accountability, then she struggled when I held her accountable. And then Kate said, yeah, I agree with Ashley. Mindset is the hardest thing when coaching people. That, and I notice when I work with men, not all men, there's a power struggle with the ego. So Ashley, around the mindset piece, this is where I think it's so important to understand how well you need to understand your clients, right? So all of our clients, you have to think about it. Every client, the reason why they're hiring you is because they want better for themselves, but there's a disconnect because there's something that they're lacking, right now, which is causing them not to have the result they want, which triggered why they hired you in the first place, right? So all of our clients, like every client that comes on wants to be better. They want to be held accountable because they ultimately want the result. They desire it from a mental standpoint. They desire achieving the goal. But the thing is, there's a disconnect, obviously, right? Like if they knew what they needed to know, they'd already have that result now. So it's important. This is, I think, it's your response. This is what really separates you being a coach and being a great coach from other coaches, is how well you can anticipate when their pain points are going to present themselves. And I think this is your responsibility. And this is something that I think is important when you start thinking about your framework or thinking about your proven methodology, is to really understand your client to that level of degree. And this is why, Ashley, might be good for you to actually, because I know you're in services that sell, go back to module 1, go through the part where we're talking about your process and your framework. So all students struggle with mindset pieces, but it's important for you to know what mindset struggles do your ideal clients have, and at what point during the process do those struggles or do those mindset self-sabotaging behaviors actually present themselves. And then how can you incorporate things that anticipate that that's going to happen to remove that mindset barrier before they hit it, right? So what I mean by that is, and this is something that we start this process in services that sell during module 1, Ashley, during the package your process. But this is something that we're going to go a lot more in depth in my group coaching program, Leverage. So for any of you guys who just recently enrolled in Leverage and you're working on how do I create a group coaching program that gets my clients results, this part was something we're going to talk about very, very, very specifically. Because when you are creating your process, and it is your, I think, well, I say it's your responsibility as a coach, because the better you can do this, the better your clients are going to get results. And this is really a way for you to differentiate yourself from others in the marketplace, is actually start to pay attention to where they start having those struggles. Where do they have those struggles? And how can you prep them from up front to help them anticipate that this is where you're going to get struggles. So don't freak out about it. So, and this is something that you will learn over time as you start to work with clients, but how can you anticipate where those pain points are going to be? So I know for me, when people enroll in services that sell, they get stuck normally at day 14, literally, like it's back to back to back to back. When clients enroll in the program, they get super excited. Module 1 and module 3 are typically the most emotionally taxing exercises in the entire program. And that's normally where clients get stuck. This is normally where clients feel friction. So it's like, how can you, if I know that now, that most of my clients in module 1, They start to feel like they can't trust themselves. They start to feel like they're overwhelmed because they don't know how to pick what their niche is going to be, or they struggle with that. So how can you anticipate that? So before they get on, like your client is saying, hey, I want to be held accountable. Where are they struggling with accountability? Where are they feeling like, and when you start to hold them accountable, is it the method of, also it's important to understand when clients say, I want to be held accountable, what does that actually mean? And asking them that, like, how do you like to be held accountable? How do you like to be held accountable? Do you and ask them that question so they can tell you what their expectation is, and then you can tailor how you deliver your service based off of how they like to be held accountable. So a way that we do that now that we're doing kind of a one-to-many model is and Ashley, since you're in services that sell, literally go back to the pre-work exercises that you guys went through in the beginning of the program. Some of the questions I asked you guys, what are your love languages? That's a mode of reward, but if I'm holding you accountable, how do I reward you for being held accountable? There's how do you like to receive communication? Do you like it in a written format, video format? Do you like, you can ask your clients in the very beginning, how do they best like to be held accountable? So you can make sure that you're tailoring the delivery of that accountability in a way that best suits them. But then also, where are they struggling with being held accountable? At what points in the program do they have the greatest level of friction? And then how can you frame that before they experience it so they can anticipate it? So then when they do feel it, they're not freaking out and retracting, which most people do, but they're like, oh, Ashley told me I was going to have a freak out right here. And look at her. She was right. Now that builds your trust. It allows you to be seen more as the expert because you're anticipating what is going to happen with them. So, and this is something that as you continue to develop your program, these are things that you can build into the delivery of your service. So again, if you guys are in services that sell, you guys notice that you guys get an email from me normally like once to twice a week, talking through mindset things as you're going through the program. So you're getting emails letting you know when a new module has released or when you have a new growth assignment. But then there's also mindset emails that you're getting from me that are helping you work through the mental barriers that you can expect before they're happening to you. That's part of that's when I say you have a proven process and developing your proven methodology and developing your proven framework, I'm anticipating when all of your mindset hurdles are going to happen and what they're going to be, and also giving you a solution on how to work through them before they get there, right? So these are things that you can start to incorporate into the packaging of your service so you can anticipate those needs and help them work through it before they even realize they've had it. And then it's all about how you frame it. So just know that like every client is going to have mindset issues. That's why they hired you. It's just part of the process, but it's how do you work through those mindset issues? It's how can you start to anticipate them before they happen and then start to remove those barriers and give them the tools that they need to be able to navigate that challenge when it does present itself. So those are some things I'd recommend for you. And like I said, for anybody who recently joined Leverage, who's trying to take their services and turn it into a group program, this is so vital for you to have these components in your group offer. Because when you're working one-on-one, this is the beauty of working one-on-one, is you can tailor the experience and customize it based off of who your client is. So Ashley and anybody here working with one-on-one clients, this should be part of your onboarding process. How do you like to receive communication? How do you like to receive accountability? How do you like to be rewarded? Asking those types of questions so you can tailor the delivery of your service based off of what their needs are. But when you start transitioning from one-on-one to one-to-many, you need to build these elements into the delivery of your offer. And this is where I think a lot of course creators or group coaching programs or masterminds, when you start to create a leveraged offer, where they go wrong, because they have not automated the customization of the relationship, which you can do if you do it right. And I think this is why I think we do it very well in services that sell, because we've been able to still create a tailored, customized experience for our clients, but in a leveraged, automated way. So I hope that helps, Ashley. And I think the other thing that I've run into issues with a lot with my clients, and maybe you guys have too, is clients coming from another coach. So clients working with multiple coaches at a time, or clients where they've worked with another coach for a long period of time, and they come into our program and our coaching philosophies are very different. And that is something where I know I've definitely had, challenges with, and I know clients have expressed to me that they've had challenges with, is coaching clients that come from another coach. Have you guys ever had difficulties with that? Where the client will come to you and say, well, my other coach told me this, or maybe they've worked with a coach that was more about do as I say, not as I do. They want you to, like, I know that I've had a lot of clients come to me where they've had coaches that tried, but their previous coach was like telling them to make carbon copies of their business. So they were very much just replicating what another coach told them to do versus learning strategies and creating something uniquely on their own. So having coaches that having clients that have come from coaches that just have very different coaching philosophies. And I know that can be difficult as well when you're working with new clients. How do you navigate that, right? So I think one thing is important. This is something that you can also do in your onboarding, and something that you can do in your pre-content before you even onboard a client, is start to incorporate and communicate what are your philosophies as a business coach and how they specifically differ from your competitors. Just so you can pre-frame that before a client even comes on. But once a client does come on, I think it's so important to help navigate those waters, because I know we've had a handful of clients that I personally worked with who come from coaches that the other coaches say, just do what I do. They literally are telling them to create a carbon copy of their business. And this is something that I do not agree with. Like, I do not want my clients making a Jerisha Hawk business, because you guys aren't making my business. I'm teaching you guys strategies that you can apply and implement into your business. This is not a cookie cutter approach. All of you guys have very different results that you get for your clients, and different, different ways that you support your clients in getting results. I don't want everybody that I work with just to create a replica of what my business is, because that's not the goal. The goal for me is to teach you strategies that you can apply to your unique business model, so you can get results based off what problem you solve and who your ideal client is. But not all coaches are like that. And I've definitely had clients that have come to me where they're used to working with the carbon copy coaches. And it is so hard to break them, because when I say break them, I don't mean that in a negative way, but like break them from this. You don't need to, and just because you see me take 2 steps to the left doesn't mean you need to take 2 steps to the left. Like, I need you just to understand the strategies that I'm teaching you so you can apply them to your unique situation. But I need you, so that comes this mindset piece that Ashley brought up earlier, is that, typically how does that present itself? Clients don't trust their judgment. How does that present itself? Clients don't trust their decision-making capabilities. So they constantly only rely on you telling them exactly, like, I'm not just saying telling them what to do in regards to guiding them along the journey, but they're asking you, well, what should my business name be, Jerisha? Or what should my business name be, Ashley? Or what should my niche be? Like, they're asking you very like specific questions, and it's like, I don't want you to make the Jerisha Hawk business. I want you to make the business that best serves and supports you, and that you have the expertise and guidance to be able to help people get results on. I'm here to help you discover what that is and how to effectively package it, how to effectively sell it. But I'm not going to tell you to do it my way. Like, you guys get what I'm saying? And I think that can cause difficulties and challenges when you're working with clients, and that's where they're used to, or something. Because building a business is not like the coloring books, color by numbers. This is not what that is. Your business is, you're not, like, I would advise you to not be trying just to overly carbon copy what you see somebody else doing and overly mimic what you see somebody else doing. But that's when I know is a lot of difficulty. Because you don't, like, even if you have a client that's like that, how do you navigate that? You want to communicate to the client that, like, your goal is not to make a carbon copy of what my business is. My goal here is to be able to support you with learning the strategies, developing you as a CEO. And what does that mean? Helping you understand the why behind what I'm telling you to do. I think that's really another disconnect too, when people come from other coaches. Some other coaches, because they're just regurgitating the information that they learned from another coach and then repackaging and selling it to you. You need to be able to understand the why behind the what, right? a lot of people, when any free content you get, you guys are getting the what is it and why is it important? But once you become a paid client, you need to understand the strategy behind why they're telling you to do what they're telling you to do. And it is your responsibility, if they're not clearly making that clear for you to understand, that you're asking those questions. Well, why is this beneficial for me to do this based off the season of business I'm in? Why are you telling me to do this form of strategy versus another? And they should be able to communicate that to you as to the reason why. But as a student, as a client, at least what my philosophy is, and I would assume for many of you this is the same, you want to equip your clients with the know-how and with the understanding. So once they leave you, they're not 1,000% dependent on you. Like my goal is never to have a client feel like they can't move forward in their business because they're waiting for our coaching call on Thursday. Or they can't move forward because they're waiting for somebody in the Facebook group to respond. And they feel like they are constrained because they can't move because they haven't got an answer from me or an answer from somebody on my team. That is not the aim or the goal. We want to equip you with the strategies so you can start to understand the logic behind, the reasoning and the logic behind whatever action it is that you're taking. So a lot of the time, we ask our students a lot of questions, and we refer them to go read other posts where there are a lot of questions that have been asked and answered, because we want to develop you as a CEO. I want to develop your strategic thinking process. I want to help you develop your problem solving process and your methodology, because I'm trying to teach you how I'm processing your information so you can coach yourself. That's, I think, also important for many of us. If you're a coach in some capacity, I take that on as a responsibility or philosophy of my approach on how I support my students. Is I want you to get results, but I also don't want you to understand why you're doing what you're doing and understand the strategy behind what we're teaching, so you're developing as a CEO, right? So I think that's important. Let me see if there's anything else. Malene said, agree. I need to understand the strategies and philosophies so then I can implement it. If I don't get it, how can I bounce back and take total hold of my business? Yeah. She said, thank you for this freedom. Janae said, we can't copy you because your gifts aren't our gifts. Plus you are on a whole nother level when we are. The results won't stick. But I think I think that we can be misconstrued in that. I know that's something I struggled with my first few coaches that I hired, I was just trying to replicate what I saw them doing. But then it's this is when I really learned that you have to understand what season of business you're in and understand, okay, I see my coach maybe doing advanced strategies and maybe they're not teaching us that yet, but that's because we're not there yet. And typically if you want to start getting more advanced strategies as you continue to grow, you typically need to work with your clients. I mean, just think about what you purchased and what is the promise of the offer that you bought. And it's you need to focus on how can I just get that result? And when you're ready for, more advanced strategies, then start to work with that coach in a higher capacity so you can, you'll get different insight. And I think it's important for you too, as the coach or as a consultant, to make sure that you're tailoring the content that you're delivering to your students based off the promise that you put on that program, right? I think this can be difficult sometimes because if you're the result, for all of our students and services that sells, to help me, my goal is to teach you how to package a high ticket offer and sell it consistently using live stream video. But when people come into the group saying, well, Jay, how do I create a group coaching program? That's not the container for me to give advice or information about that result, because that's not the promise of the program that you purchased, and it's not the promise of the program that you're in. So I think it's important too to understand as a coach, how do you differentiate between what you're willing to talk about with the client and what needs to be held off for a different container, right? If anybody's talking about one-on-one services or how to sell one-on-one services or how to sell high ticket services or use live video, that can help happen in services that sell container. But when people start asking questions about, okay, guys, how do I, repackage my offer and create a leverage program? How do I start selling one-to-many, Jay? How do I create my signature group program, right? How do I start digitizing my one-on-one service? That's a different container. So it's important for you. It's important for you as a coach to tailor what you deliver, what content you share in the container of the promise that the client bought. Because that can also create difficulty with coaching clients, is you start to give information that solves too many problems. And they're like, well, we didn't get any results. And it's like, you weren't even supposed to be teaching that stuff, because that's outside of the scope of what the framework is that they're in. Okay. Oh, I see so many so many students are on right now. You guys are asking such great questions. And you guys know we have our coaching call today at 1 o'clock. So bring the heat today too. So Dina said, how can we show results when the results are saving time or being more confident? So even no matter what, Dina, this is something that we need to drill down with maybe you in or anybody else in module 1 when you're working through the problem, pick your problem, because no matter what you're doing, there's a tangible result. So if you're helping somebody be more confident, which is a metric, which is a result, you need to see how is that confidence showing up? How, like, what is the, like, when you say I'm helping a client be more confident, what are you helping them be more confident to do? And you need to think about, okay, like you need to think about what is a tangible result that comes from them increasing their confidence. Many times you're not selling confidence. Confidence is a positive byproduct of the problem that you're actually helping them solve. Confidence isn't the thing you're selling. Confidence is the byproduct of the thing that you're selling. So when you think about when somebody joins services that sell, everybody, if you guys go look in the pre-work, one of the questions I ask you guys is, how do you want to feel after working with me? And what would make our coaching relationship the absolute best? What would make our relationship the absolute best? And everybody always says, I want to have more confidence around what it is that I'm selling. And I want to have more confidence around my selling capabilities. And I want to have more clarity around what my offer is. Confidence and clarity, those are feelings. Those are very intangible, and those look very different from client to client. But confidence and clarity are byproducts of what I actually, like what the promise of what I'm marketing and the promise of what I'm selling. So when you say that they're helping a client get more confident or get more clarity or whatever it is, have more feel goods, that's just a byproduct of what it is. So Dina said, make better decisions with employees. Even making better decisions with employees, what does that mean? Is that, are you helping them hire a new employee, onboard a new employee? And Dina, I cannot remember, but you guys get what I'm saying? So like this is why module 1 is so important, is to peel back the layers. Because if you're like, I'm a life coach and I help people, feel good in the skin that they're in. Like, that's not a result. That's a byproduct of the result that you're actually selling. And it's important for you to drill down and figure out, okay, well, how am I helping somebody feel good in their skin? How do I measure that? What is the external result that looks like to let me know that's what happened for them? Oh, Dina, you help with the train the legal staff the easy way, right? I think that you, I want to say that's what you do. Don't you help with onboarding the lawyer? I know you work with lawyers, onboarding training, helping lawyers build teams. So really, like, the problem that you're onboarding, onboarding, train the perfect paralegal, that is the result that you're selling. That is what they're paying you to help them do. But the confidence piece, the clarity piece, they feel confident to go into court knowing they have a perfect paralegal on their side. That is a byproduct. So you still care to know about those things. I think it's important when you start to onboard clients, ask them, how do you want to feel after working with me? And ask them to, and go back and look at the pre-work questions that I asked you guys in services that sell. But I also asked the question around, what would success look like after working together? How would you want to feel? What would that tangibly look like? So you can actually remind them of that and measure that as you're working with them. But that's what the result is. Confidence is a byproduct of them being able to onboard and train the perfect paralegal. Because they onboarded and trained the perfect paralegal, that's what causes them to feel confident. So when you're selling those intangible things where, they have more time, what allows them to have more time? Having an onboarded and trained perfect paralegal causes them to have more time. The more time is a byproduct of the actual thing. Does that make sense? And this is why I think it's so important, why you can have difficult coaching clients, is because you as the coach don't distinguish between what the result is and what the byproducts are, right? You need to be able to distinguish between, this is a symptom of this root cause. And because of the root cause, this is what's causing these symptoms. But we're measuring you based off the root cause, not measuring you based off, you still want to measure them based off the symptoms, you can, but that's not really the core thing that you're measuring. So Dina, the core thing that you're measuring is, did you teach them how to onboard and train their new perfect paralegal? And when you say train, you need to get clear, what does the onboarding process look like? What is your methodology for onboarding a new paralegal? And this is where you go into, and again, still in module 1, packaging your process. What are the steps that you can check off and say, we did this, we did this, we did this. And when you say training the perfect paralegal, how do we know that the paralegal has been trained? This is also in your process, that because they can do this, 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 and this, we know that we've onboarded and trained your perfect paralegal. So you need to be able to have milestone markers throughout the process. And this is all in module 1 that we're going to continue to work through together to make sure that you're crystal clear on. But does that make sense? Like, the more confidence, the more time, they feel like they can, like, all those feelings and emotions are byproducts of the result that you're teaching, that they're actually paying you for. Right? But my thing is, you don't really need to like if you can measure, and I think this is something that you can do as an enhanced thing, is measure what these intangibles are with your clients, but just make sure that you are making it clear. How do you measure the perfection? So Renee said this, and Renee's also in services that sell. This is like a mini STS coaching call right now, guys. But one thing you could ask your clients in their onboarding process is, how would you describe your perfect paralegal? And have them tell you what their perfect paralegal is. And because you're still doing your work one-on-one, you can somewhat tailor that relationship towards that. So if you say your perfect paralegal is this, and that's good market research for you too, and then at the end of your coaching relationship, you can kind of circle back with your client and say, remember, this is what your perfect paralegal was. And this is through onboarding and training. This is how we have been able to cultivate you having this perfect paralegal in your workplace. And those are just ways for you to, again, control the container. Like, difficult coaching clients, a lot of the time they're difficult because we're not clearly communicating expectations, and we're not also making it clear to the clients what, it's our responsibility to help our clients see the results that we help them get. I know that sounds redundant, but it's true. Because think about even yourself as an individual. Do you remember all of your wins? Like, many of us as individuals don't celebrate our wins every step of the way, right? So it's your responsibility. Like, you'll have a difficult client saying, Dina didn't help me get no results. Well, did you remind them of the results you were able to help them get? I know it sounds redundant, but we have to do that. And that's something, again, you need to put into your process of serving your clients, in the onboarding and the offboarding, right? So I think that's just really important for us to remind ourselves to do. And these are all things to just really allow you to level up your, experience and capability of being able to get your clients results, right? So, and this is why there's like layers to services that sell. Like, step 1 is figuring out just baseline, what's enough for you to get started, what's enough, like what is your methodology, start to figure out what your process is. That's module 1. Guys. But then as you continue to work with your clients and revise your relationship, these are things that you need to be building into the framework of your delivery of your service to make sure that you're getting your clients the best results. You don't need to have all this done at the very, very beginning. These are things that will grow over time. But these are definitely things to think about. And then I'm glad this was helpful, guys. All this is in module 1 of services that sell. And this is why many students, I know we had a student recently, she had her first 5K month, and she's gone through the services that sell program 3 times. And that's the other beauty of services that sell, and the beauty of having a proven process, because you can do it over and over and over again to get better as you continue to grow in your business. So if you guys are in STS, just do it. It's a how do you get perfect or get better at something? It's through practice and repetition. So the more that you can do this, the more that you'll just continue to refine and refine and refine until you get to a point where you have a really good groove, but you already have everything that you need. It's just going through the process over and over again. But I really hope this was helpful, just kind of talking through. We talk a lot about sales, but I think it's also important for us to talk about the service to our clients and being able to handle difficult clients, and what can we do as coaches to kind of take control back over that container to make sure that we're guiding and structuring clients in a very healthy and productive way. So I really hope this was helpful, beneficial. As always, guys, I would love for you just to pop in the comments and let me know what your top takeaway was. Like, what about this was helpful for you today? What is something new that you learned, an aha that you had? What's one thing that you can implement in your own business so you can actually start to gain some momentum and get some results? Share that with me in the comments. Tag me on Instagram stories. We can do a quick pose here. Yes, tag a sister, screenshot. And if this video was helpful, share it. And again, if you're somebody who wants to add or start selling a high tickets offer in your service suite, you can join us inside of my Facebook group. It's completely free, jerishahawk.com/join. You can request access there. But I hope this was helpful, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, y'all.